business, man, fixing all the business issues and internationally. So
but
I
I won't. Yeah, I was cracking myself up last night when I was like, I'd do anything for international business, but I won't do that.
you could be the next president, do international business.
I promise I can ace the same test that Trump took. So,
You're
oh
just-
dear God, he commented on that in the debate again too. He's like, "I've taken that test. I've taken it twice, and I aced it both times." And it's like, you're a fucking idiot. I literally listened to it today this morning because I like the other night when it was happening. I did not have the mental capacity to even, and I just didn't. So I don't know. Did you watch it at all, or
No. Did you watch the whole thing?
I listened to the whole thing.
Okay, like
So
an hour and
yeah,
a half or something.
yeah, yeah. So
I didn't watch the whole thing. I watched the Jon Stewart 15-minute recap of it, and that was
yeah, yeah. There was a point there when somebody was like, I forget what they were asking about. I think they were talking about age. Yeah, they were talking about age, and Trump's like, I just won two different tournaments, for not even senior tournaments, like regular tournaments. And yeah, I as far as fitness, I think I'm as good as I was 25 years ago, maybe a little bit leaner. And then he's talking about his golf swing, and then Biden like has to chime in, and he's like, he's like, I would gladly challenge you to a game of golf. And like that's what the conversation became like. And I'm like, are you two old guys in a nursing home who are arguing over who gets the last pudding cup? Like that's really what it seems like.
it's it's
Oh
not
my god.
great.
No.
I know last time we chatted, we talked about what's his name? Worm brain guy.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Uh
RFK Jr.
RFK Jr. and what
Yeah.
it meant to be a liberal for him. And he wasn't much better, but
Uh,
he also had a brain and a brain worm that ate half his brain or something. So he's not. It's a low bar. I understand Biden is too old to be president, and Trump is
he's
Trump.
just too insane. Yeah.
I mean, let's just forego that he was convicted of all his felonies and
Mm-hmm.
charges. Um, he's just not. He's not a good. He's not a good fit for a president. He's just too much of a narcissist, and he doesn't have a utilitarian viewpoint of making America great again
Yeah.
for Americans. He's fine for like the upper 10%, 1%.
He's probably great for them. You know, maybe we should just have a random lottery where like everybody with a social security number, we just hit a random button and that's who wins.
It can't be that bad, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, my thought is what's the worst that could happen, and do the same with every cabinet position too. So you can turn it down if you want to, but that's the goal I think for my lifetime because at this point, I don't know.
I'm just tired of seeing these two people for the past 8 years.
More like past 12. Well, it'll be 12, but
I mean, we had Obama in 2016 leave, and then Trump was campaigning against. I don't even remember who was. Oh, Hillary. That's right.
mm-hmm. Yeah,
So yeah, I guess we've just been dealing with Trump for the past. Oh my god, just probably like 12 years at this point.
yeah, I think so.
And in that time,
Uh,
he's just been more insane and gone more senile, and as the ego that he has and the ego boost that he got when he became president is just
mm-hmm.
it's just not good for his well-being.
I tend to agree.
I don't understand. Like, I would love to just be retired and chill, but like, why do these 80-year-olds want to go through all this stress to be president? Like, Why don't you
I
just
don't know.
like play golf and chill and you're millionaires?
Yeah, I know what you're saying. Um,
I mean, we know Trump wants to become president so he can pardon himself.
I mean, I think that's probably a big motivating factor at this point.
Yeah. It'd be interesting to see like what what goes with that if he can even.
Well, he's got a whole right wing um, Supreme Court system.
He does. Trump's just going to tip them a bunch, so he'll just get what he wants. Readables are coming their way.
Yeah, I. Oh dear God. Oh, am I talking through my microphone?
I I don't know what you're talking through.
Well, excuse me. Um,
I'm
give
assuming
me a
you're
minute.
talking through your microphone.
Yeah. Okay. No, for a second there, I thought it was saying that my I was talking through my headphones, and I was like,
Oh, okay.
oh, well, that would be all gobbledygook. Gobbledygook.
Maybe I'm maybe you're just shouting really loud and I can just
Oh, I'm
hear you.
sure. I'm sure I am. What? Hello. Oh, oh.
I wonder what the delay would be from Ohio to Wisconsin.
It's like yelling from the top of a mountain, mountain, mountain. I don't know how the echo's coming through. It's probably not coming through very nicely. It
It's
sounds
actually
better in my
pretty
head.
good. Yeah.
Oh, good. Yeah.
You can be your own
Uh,
echo pedal.
mm-hmm. I'll do great.
There is a recent Twitch banning of a Twitch streamer that
Doctor, what's
Dr.
his face?
Disrespect.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was a big streamer. He just got banned. He was streaming Elden Ring and then he just got quiet for like 30 seconds and then he's like, "You know what we do on this channel?" And then the clip ended. I'm not sure if he continued streaming.
If they just shut him down or whatever.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think pretty sure he got notified while streaming that he was getting banned from Twitch
Yeah.
because of his inappropriate conversations
Misconduct.
with, yeah.
I actually read about him because like he kept popping up on my news feed. I'm like, who the fuck's this guy? Turns out that's who he is. So
I found out. Amanda told me. He's like,
hmm,
"Hey, do you know who did Dr. Disrespect is?" And I'm like, "No, I don't know who he is." And she's like, "Yeah, he's some big streamer. I'm surprised you don't know." And she's like, "He got banned for being dumb, talking to minors." And I'm like, "Oh, okay."
mm-hmm,
And then I read it on Reddit, saw the clip,
mm-hmm.
and then while he was streaming Elden Ring, everyone was making Elden Ring references like, "But this is maidenless behavior" and things like that. So it was kind of fun. And the music in the background was very like Elden Ring esque too, so it was like very fitting
Yeah, yeah, I get you.
sometimes. Also, the DLC for Elden Ring is really good so far.
I kind of let Elden Ring slip through the cracks. I haven't even played it yet.
It's probably my in the my top 5 favorite games at this point. It's really good. That's how we need to choose the president of who can not
Who got the high
suck at
score in Elden Ring?
Elden. Yeah,
Oh,
who does the best in Elden Ring?
yeah. Who created the best mods?
We need a better test than just voting because like it's not
Yeah,
it's not going great. I don't
like
understand how
40.
like the Democratic Party just can't have a better candidate than Biden though.
I don't know. They were talking, or there's been whispers about how somebody's gonna end up having him drop out because of how bad he did on the what do you want to call it? How badly he did in the debate. Yeah, but I doubt that I seriously doubt he'll drop out. I don't really like Biden either, but
I think they're just kind of assuming he's not going to make it full term, and then the vice president's just going to take over. I thought that's what they were planning on last time, but no, by what happened?
Yeah, that way there would be a black woman president, which I I just think it's kind of a weird way to do that. You know what I mean?
Right. It would be a weird way for that. How that would be the way for us to get our first woman president.
Yeah,
Would
that's what
be,
I'm getting at. Yeah,
yeah.
and it's like,
I don't think half of America's ready for that.
no, no, probably not. So I don't
Which
know.
is also sad that we can't progress.
Yeah,
But
I know. What are we talking about today, by the way?
we were talking about the
Well,
the
no,
debate.
I was just being sarcastic.
Yeah, we didn't do an intro.
Yeah, I noticed, and nothing's really been congruent, but
No,
that's okay.
yeah, we were just complaining about how two old people shouldn't be president, but one of them is going to be president, and we're all doomed. And the third choice is a dude that had a worm eat
In
his
his
brain.
brain. Actually,
Yeah,
technically, the worm's still there because removing it would cause more harm than good at this point.
yeah, yeah.
But it's dead.
You think it like it's kind of so. So I've always thought that if something dies within your body, it
Uh huh.
can cause a lot of issues because you
Oh,
don't
I'm sure
think
this could.
like that's why um I don't know. That's why you don't have I don't know. I can't think of like the word to for this issue, but
That's why you don't have worms in your brain. I would tend to agree.
I
It's a
mean
weird way to say that, but I mean, we got there.
I mean I'm glad I have a dead worm that's decomposing in my brain. I feel like that just has a lot of like bad stuff that can come out to cause more issues, but who knows?
Quite
I'm
astute
not
of you to realize that there's quite a few ramifications involved with that. Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
that's why
you're
you have
absolutely.
to get your like appendix out when it explodes because it's gonna just like cause so many issues,
Yeah,
or your gallbladder or any other organ that's like decomposing.
failing.
Just
Yeah,
yeah, it just needs to come out. But I guess worms are fine.
yeah. Well,
It's small.
yeah. I don't know why they. I don't 100% know why they leave the worm in there. I know it's because it causes more issues than anything
Yeah.
else, but eh.
How'd it get in his brain?
I thought he ate some undercooked pork while in China or something like that, or at least that's the story. Though if
Is his
he,
brain in his
I,
stomach?
I don't think so, but I'm not 100% sure. I haven't opened him up to check.
Yeah,
Yeah, but no. I mean,
just
I suppose that a
some weird
prostitute,
parasite.
yeah, prostitute or bloodborne pathogens could probably do the same thing. So, um, so he
Yeah,
could say
some
undercooked
like
pork, but
some weird parasite got into his bloodstream and then got into his brain. I guess.
man, yeah, if you were injecting something, then yeah. So I mean, technically, with it being a worm, it could live on even like a bowl that you'd smoke weed out of. Technically, though, it wouldn't be able to live there for long. But then it can find its nice, cozy new home in your brain. So, but chances are it's from food poison or from something to do with food. But it does
Yeah.
scare me a little bit that like his response. And I know I've touched on this before, right? That his response to his response to will it affect his presidency? No, it will not. But then you look at his court cases, and the number one reason that he divorced his wife, or that him and his wife got a divorce, was because it created too many complications for their marriage.
Yeah.
So, like, you don't get to have it both ways. You know what I mean? So,
Well, running a country is easier than having a wife.
yeah, I suppose you're probably right.
That's what he's saying.
I mean, all Trump did for like the first year he was elected was play golf. So I mean, he was talking about it during the debate. I mean, he was Biden wouldn't play golf with him for some reason. I don't know the whole story.
I can't imagine him being a good golfer, but who knows?
Yeah, I couldn't imagine being a good golfer either. I don't have the time for it.
I've done some golfing in my time.
Uh huh. Just putt putt though.
I I got I got coaching from a pro golfer when I was a wee lad.
Oh man, what was the pro golfer's name? Was the pro golfer LeBron James?
I don't remember. I don't remember because I was in my early teens, maybe like 12, 13,
Mm-hmm.
because I showed promise, and
Oh wow.
I did. I was actually a pretty good golfer when I was younger.
Yeah. Huh.
I would golf par, but I
I would not have
I,
expected that.
I for whatever reason, my brain just clicks with golf. But I never stuck with it.
I'm not good at many things.
Well, I'm not good at many things, but golf is something that I was pretty good at.
Yeah.
But it's just one of those things where I'm like, I don't feel like practicing, and it's outside, and there's too many bugs, and it's hot. So, and when I'm like, that young, I don't want to. I don't want to be out. I don't want to do something that I don't want to do. So I just never stuck with it.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying though. So
But golf is a
I used to.
sport that you could just go back to whenever. So
That's fair. Yeah, you don't really need a
yeah,
team to to be a golfer. So probably more convenient with a caddy, but I don't know who just has a caddy all the time, except for Happy Gilmore. He does.
yeah, maybe I'll just sign up for a tournament. I'll just start practicing a little bit. Sign up for a tournament. They'll assign me a
Hmm.
caddy, and we'll be good.
Man, you could be like Tiger Woods
I'd probably more likely be like Happy Gilmore, where I'm like, I don't,
using a
I don't
hockey
care about
stick to
the.
make putts. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. God,
putting is the hard
sport.
part, though.
Well, uh, maybe. I don't know. I really don't. So I took some golf lessons in college, but then I dropped out of it that class. I got like a week of free golf out of it though at a driving range, but I feel like it would have been easier and cheaper to just go to that driving range.
Yeah,
But I don't know.
yeah, yeah. I am. The idea of having to take electives for PE in college was stupid.
I thought so too. One of my friends took karate and he's like, "Oh, it's all about core strength," and he was all excited about it and he's trying to show me all these moves. Yeah, then I saw a set of stairs take him out one night when he was drinking, and I'm like, stairs and gravity +1,
Yeah,
karate 0. So I don't know,
I don't.
but
I have a lot of opinions in college and how it's great, but man, I sure wish I didn't have to take a lot of electives.
yeah, yeah,
I, I don't understand why. I mean, I understand why they want you to take electives. It's because they want to get as much money out of you as possible.
well, I think the original idea is nice, where they just want you to be well rounded and have like be decent in all areas of learning, but then excel in one. The
Right. I
idea's
mean,
there.
that makes perfect sense. Except some majors don't require you to have some electives, so some majors require you to have some electives.
I know, yeah. As an example, in engineering, you don't have to take a foreign language.
Right. And I don't
But
think
that said, I feel like a foreign language would be more useful than taking karate. So,
we all need to take a PE.
yeah, six of one, half a dozen of another, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, if I didn't have to take a foreign language, I would have graduated. So
Yeah, yeah, isn't that a kicker? Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know. I can teach you on Spanish.
I mean, I've thought about just like seeing if I can contacting my old college and be like, hey, can I take a foreign language elsewhere and get those credits transferred to this school so I can actually have my degree.
I mean, you probably could.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah,
But
but
they'll probably be like, no, you can't do that.
only university of only this university's Spanish courses are good enough for you. But I took four courses over there. I only needed one over here, C, but our Spanish is better.
Yeah. I probably would have graduated if I would have went to a different college too, though, because they have
Yeah,
different requirements for
yeah, I know.
different
Isn't
stuff.
that a kicker? Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh yeah. By the way, at the end of that conversation, you should be like, "Well, see ya," and then you get them good because you just use
yeah,
Spanish. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
But yeah, no, I've often thought about that. Realistically, though, I got to go back and finish up my degree too. But
Mhm.
realistically, it's I'm not too far off. I just and most of my classes actually transferred over. I'm not 100%
Yeah,
sure how. I made like these weird egg quesadillas for breakfast that were not great. They weren't my brightest idea. It was eggs and potatoes and salsa and cheese. It wasn't terrible,
yeah.
but
We made
anyhow.
sliders with those Hawaiian rolls, chopping them in half, and then throwing the stuff on them, throwing in the oven for 10 minutes.
Oh
They're
man,
turned out really
was that brought to you by was that brought to you by HelloFresh?
good. No,
Oh, oh,
I made a really weird HelloFresh meal the other night. That it was a sausage, penne, and broccoli with and the sauce was like an olive oil, like a garlic
yeah,
olive oil.
huh.
It was interesting because I've never had like a garlic olive oil sauce before.
Yeah. I see what you're saying. Huh.
It was like it
Yeah,
was almost like a consistency of like a butter noodle, but instead of
I
butter,
was actually just gonna say
like
this
garlic.
reminds me a lot of buttered noodles.
Yeah,
So
it was basically that, but a healthier version. I think if olive oil is more healthy than butter, but
I don't know about that. Yeah, it probably is. My ex-wife used to put butter on ramen noodles, and she called that buttered noodles. And I asked her who hurt her, called it buttered noodles. I got nothing against ramen noodles. I mean,
yeah,
I get bored of them, but
yeah.
yeah, but yeah,
Um,
she just I don't know. And also, she wasn't using butter; she was using imperial margarine. So,
Close
but then
enough.
again, I mean, there's that's made from some really weird oil. I don't know. That stuff's just weird. Used to be
Yeah,
you could go to oh god,
yeah. I read that some butter is just made of like an oil anyway. So
that's margarine. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
just a fancy olive oil with a
Pretty
different
much. Well, it's
consistency.
it's not olive oil. It's some how what oil is in margarine? It's soft vegetable fat spreads. So you're talking safflower, sunflower, soybean, cottonseed, rapeseed, or olive oil. Um, yeah. Do you know why margarine's actually a thing?
No,
So back during like Napoleonic times, butter was scarce or very expensive, right? So they had a contest to figure out who could make the best butter substitute that tasted and acted most like butter. And I forget who came up with margarine, but that was the winner right there. So
it sounds
um,
like one of those things where a business is like, let's have a contest to make them make a new product for us so we can capitalize on it. and they get nothing because
I
it's
think this was sponsored by the government, but yeah, yeah. I
I
mean,
see yeah, companies do that. They'll be like, "Hey, we're doing this new contest for X, Y, and Z. How about you submit your awesome idea and you can win, and we'll turn it into reality."
yeah, and you do the R&D um, on paper when you submit it. That way, our engineers don't have to do much except for minor modifications because we're out of ideas. But we'll pay you $5,000 for yours. That seems
Exactly.
fair for a product we can make millions off of.
Right.
I just found out today or yesterday that Amazon has been a little bit salty that they can't cut into those Temu profits, right?
Yeah.
So now they're starting to come out with, I thought I heard it called Amazon discounts, right?
Oh.
And they literally are just Temu products that you have to wait longer to get.
Oh my god.
Yeah, they
Those
have to
drop
be imported. They have to be imported at less than $800 at a time in order to avoid a 10% tariff on it. But
yeah. Yeah, those drop shipping like drop ship to make a website where you do drop shipping and then you work with like Timu and stuff like that for them to supply it. It's just a huge it just feels like a scammy.
oh, it probably is. So, but
It's just funny that like since they can't make their own website to sell their own product, they have to trick other people into making it. It's not really tricking because like if no one buys the item, you're just making your own website, putting a bunch of products onto it, and you're just kind of wasting your own time if nothing else
right.
sells. So it's not
Hmm.
really scammy. It's just like, but I mean, the products are also not great either, though. So the
Yeah.
product itself is misleading, but it's fine.
You,
I'm
you know what I would
done.
name a website? You know what I would name a website like that?
Hmm. But
Scamazon.
yeah, I
Yeah.
worked with like a like a drop shipping company before because
Yeah.
they were basically the they were the website and they were looking for companies that could actually get the items. So
Hmm.
I was their supplier, and then I had to work with the supplier to get the supplies, and then they sold the item, and we would basically like split the profit because the profit
Yeah.
margins weren't great because they're trying to undercut Amazon.
Hmm. I get you.
But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean
You know,
it is what it is.
when I was a kid, I remember thinking like business just seems like it's overly complicated for no reason because to me it always seems like you could squeeze out the middleman and it seems
Yeah,
like it'd be more beneficial to squeeze out the middleman. And when I said that, I don't mean every middleman, but I meant like, you know, most of the middlemen because it doesn't ever just go through one middle person. It usually goes through like three
right.
or four, right?
It
It,
yeah. When I was helping my dad with his company, like we would get parts from Home Depot and Lowe's, and we would just charge the customer for the price of the item and labor for it, basically. But like
right.
that's when I kind of made this realization that like we're doing this job because other people can't do it. We have the expertise. There's no like distributor that's making the parts. I mean, there is, but we're not able to order at that volume that we can. So we have this is our distributor. Home Depot is our distributor for this, like valve.
That's how it's how a lot of construction companies work, though. So,
Yeah,
I mean, it's not uncommon. So, I mean,
and Home Depot just orders this directly from the company. That's like,
mhm.
but then the company doesn't even make the item. They're outsourcing that from like
I know.
China
Yeah,
plant that's making the
yeah.
item for like
That's
nickel.
that's what I'm saying is that like ideally how it would work is you're a manufacturer. right? And you're just selling some sort of standardized product. Let's say you make light bulbs, right? And you're just
Yeah.
selling some standard LED light bulbs. That's it. You got some different colors, different packages, you know, but that's essentially it. But and that seems like that's the way to go, to be the manufacturer, right? But somehow it's cheaper to be the distributor of these, where essentially you have somebody else do the manufacturing because that's less cost up front to you, right?
Yeah.
You then take it, you slap whatever brand on it, or you sell it, or at that point, what you could do is you sell them to Samsung, and Samsung now has their own line of light bulbs, you know?
Right.
And it's like
It's
that person in between there doesn't seem like they need to be there, you know,
yeah.
to facilitate that. But the manufacturer will only work with one or two people out in China to, you know, because those are the only two people who will buy enough or sell enough quantity for them,
Right.
you know.
Exactly.
But those people aren't who are selling it aren't part of the organization. And that's how a lot of these things work, and it's just screwy. Like batteries are that way.
Yeah.
So I don't 100% understand, but
The people that are winning are the people that can say, "That's not our problem. You have to contact these people."
yeah, I mean that's kind of the American business model anymore. Yeah,
Yeah. I mean,
yeah,
Amazon's just like that. If you order an item from Amazon and it comes broken, and it's you, they'll either say, "All right, we can ship you another one," or they'll say, "No, you have to contact this person because they
it
are."
depends on how you buy it from them. Sometimes
Yeah.
Amazon will directly sell certain things, but other times a third party seller will do it. If the
Right.
third party seller's involved, then it's oh well, they can ship you another one, but you got to
Yeah.
ship this one back.
I mean, Amazon themselves is a drop ship company. They don't have their own items. They are literally just getting items from other people or their people
And then
using
putting it
them.
in a warehouse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the Amazon Prime, all that's fulfilled by Amazon. They'll probably ship you another one. If a company is putting a website or their own shop on Amazon, then they'll go, you need to contact this shop because they're the ones that are in charge of it. We are just
Hmm.
make making it easier for them to have their shop exist.
Yeah. Yeah, Amazon's kind of a weird place. So it's kind of like a standardized eBay where you're selling,
Yeah,
you know, new goods instead of used goods. But
right. I mean, it's just a bunch of people competing with each other on one website to sell a shitty item.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And the more generic the item, the, um, you know,
Like I went to Menards because I was looking for a CAD cable management. Uh, I think they call them like racetrack or race trays.
oh, yeah. So that way you can hide cables on the walls for runs and
Yeah,
all that
or
sort of
like
thing. Yeah,
on the bottom of a desk, I'm looking for just like a
yeah,
3 foot long, 1 inch wide, and
yeah,
Menards doesn't have any. So I'm like, okay, well, that's like the only place I could think of that would have it because the website Menards says they have it, but really they don't because it's an online order item, online item only. They don't stock it
right,
in the store, so I had to buy it online. So I might as well just go buy it from Amazon because it's cheaper.
right.
And I,
And you'll still get it in the same time frame. So,
yeah, but like now that everything is just like, here's an online item, or here's an item that's on our website. It's not in the store. You have to buy it online, and
uh huh.
that's how a lot of things are now too. So at that point, you might just buy it from Amazon because it's pretty cheaper. It's so stupid. I hate it.
Yeah. Let me
That's
check
why
on
no
my
one goes
kids
to the
real.
store.
Yeah. Yeah, I know what you mean. I literally, if I could order groceries online, I would. And I know I could, but it's way more expensive to order groceries online for some reason.
Hello Fresh. You can order groceries online.
Well, I don't think that's quite the same thing.
No, not
But
really. But they do advertise. It's like when you buy from HelloFresh, it's 20% cheaper than going to the grocery store.
well, maybe. I don't necessarily
It's
buy that.
it's not.
You know,
But
there was this company for a while. I forget what their name was, but they sold fruits and vegetables that were weirdly shaped, right?
Oh, okay.
And they were like misshapen. I think it might have been called like misshapen fruits or something like that, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, that's a cool idea because they're rejects. The grocery stores don't want them. They'll send them to you, right, in a box.
Right.
And it's like, oh, okay, so you're buying all these misshapen fruits. That's got to be like cheaper than going to the grocery store, right? No, it costs just as much, if not like a little bit more after shipping. And it's like,
Yeah.
who the fuck came up with your business model? Like, we're selling these reject fruits for the same price that you could go to the grocery store and buy, not reject fruits because we need to make money too.
Yep. 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 Yep.
Please help a fruit in need. It's like, no, fuck you. Like, what? Who
Man,
came up with this?
as soon as we develop instant teleportation for getting one item
Oh,
to
everything's fucked. Yeah.
ev- everything is going to be great because you're going to be like, oh man, I can get these misshapen fruits for cheaper than the grocery store, and it just arrives to my desk, and I can just eat them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Ain't that a
Because
bitch, right?
shipping's like shipping's the kicker for a lot of online products.
Yeah. Hey, you remember that time that Trump said that we should inject bleach or look into inhaling it as a suitable
Yeah,
alternative for antibiotics?
yeah, I do remember that,
You know,
and I also know that there's a bunch of Facebook groups with mothers saying that you can pour bleach down your kid's throat.
God, that reminds me of, is it Jilly Juice? Is that the name of it?
Um, I don't know. I like that. We can make we can have doctors go on TV and say, "Do not give your kids bleach," and then mothers will be like, "It's fake news," and then give their kids bleach.
Yeah, well, Jilly Juice. I think I've talked about it before. I always forget the name of it because I never remember which weird product it is because Alex Jones has some too, right?
Okay.
But Jilly Juice literally, like, it's kind of a cure all, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the old saying is cure alls cure nothing.
Yeah.
So, but a lot of mothers were giving it to their kids to quote unquote cure autism, right?
Right. Yeah.
But it had bleach in it, right? Or at least the way that, oh no, it was mother's. God, I know Jilly Juice was part of it, but you mixed it with mother's. I don't remember. I'd have to look it up. But either way, so maybe it's not Jilly Juice. Maybe Jilly Juice is the one that's like it won't do much for you, but if you want to go down that road, then go ahead. But anyhow, so one of them they advertise that it'll cure autism, right? Um, and they say that when you, because it'll give you diarrhea, right? But at the bottom of your diarrhea, at the bottom of the toilet, you'll see these little tiny, look like worms, and they say that that's the problem, and that by drinking it, you're getting rid of those,
Yeah.
and that's the real, that's how you know it's working. But in reality, that's just the lining of the intestines
Mm-hmm.
that they've just killed by drinking bleach.
Yeah. Yep.
It has nothing to do with worms.
Yeah. Yeah. People are dumb, and I hate people.
Hmm.
I hate when people are too dumb to like know they're dumb. Those are the worst kind of people.
God, did I tell you about my Lyft drivers to the airport yet?
No.
To and from. So the first guy, he showed up real early, which that's fine. I get it. Lyft is, all about who's around and available and all that sort of thing. But the first thing is I get in his back seat and I notice his back seat is soaking wet except for the one seat that I picked, which thank God. And I asked him about it and he said, "Oh, some girl spilled her Starbucks there." But the whole back seat was wet, so I don't know. if he carpet cleaned it or what.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, God, if somebody was so drunk that they pissed themselves, like I would clean up the seat and I would say that.
Yeah. That's what I would say too.
When it was on a Saturday morning, right? And if somebody was so drunk on a Friday that they puked everywhere, I'd also say the same thing.
Yep.
And the guy kept saying that today was going to be a day of all driving. And I'm like, why is it a day of all driving? And he's like, I got to make that dough. He's like, I lost a bunch last night. And I'm thinking, if somebody puked last night, like at the beginning of when he's used to driving, right?
Yeah.
And he cleaned it up, and that's why he's out of. And I'm just sitting here in puke water, like. And then he proceeded to almost kill me like 3 times in the drive to the airport because his phone died and he couldn't figure out how to get to the airport. And I'm trying to
Oh, dude.
direct him, and he's like, "Let me just pull out my other phone." Meanwhile, he's swerving between 2 lanes of the freeway. He
Okay.
pulled out in front of somebody, so that's not great, right? So on my way back from the airport, I get a notification from Uber after I order my Uber that
Mhm.
my driver's only 5 minutes away and he's
Yeah.
deaf. And I'm like,
Oh,
perfect. He's deaf. I don't have to talk to anybody. This will just be real quick. I'll jump in there. No need for friendliness. No nothing. Right?
right. Yeah.
No, no. He's he's definitely hard of hearing, but he wanted to talk. So it was
Oh,
like effort to have communication was not have, not reduced. It was like quadrupled. I'm like, motherfucker. And he starts talking politics to me. And I tell him, like, man, if I had a podcast, you seem like you should be a special guest on it because, like, he's very annoying.
yeah.
And he, I don't know. Let me put it this way. He was a unique character who he's amusing for all of 5 minutes and then you want nothing to do with him for the rest of your life. Right.
Yeah.
So,
You seem
anyhow, no, this guy was the worst. Like, I was trying to talk to him. And he's like, what? And I'm like, it's okay. And then he's telling me, he's like, I'm a 75-year-old man. I don't give a shit anymore. And I'm like, all right, I understand. Thank you. And then he's like, and they told me, he's like, I got pulled over on my way to get you for a minute from airport security. And I'm thinking, it was only 10 minutes. You wouldn't have had time to get pulled over. And he's like, and she was yelling at me about a red light. And I'm like, oh, yeah. He's like, yeah, I apparently blew through it. And she's acting like it's my fault. I'm like, okay. And he's like, but it wasn't. It wasn't on a road. It was on the back of the somewhere within like an airport parking lot or something. And
yeah.
I'm like, I don't know the specifics here, but I'm just gonna like just ignore it. And then we're a few streets away from my house, and he blows through 3 red lights,
Oh my god.
and I'm like, ugh. He didn't get a tip. Neither did the first guy.
You
I
gotta
hate
remember
doing that.
you gotta remember to tip your drivers and your mayors and your senators and your
Oh God,
presidents.
yeah, yeah.
Just gotta
Because just in case you want to give your mayor a gratuity,
yeah.
ugh.
When you think your judge did a good job, letting you off instead of the
You
other
can't pay them before the verdict, but
guy. Yeah.
after the verdict, feel free to drop them a couple $100. At least that's what the Supreme Court has decided.
Yeah.
So on a local or state level, anyhow.
Yeah, there's a little app that you can download and it will ask you if you want to round up to children's taxes. I don't know.
Oh, I thought you were gonna go with something like tip my tariffs.
Yeah.
That one's not a very good. That one's not very witty.
Yeah. Do you want to give your judge a burrito, millions of dollars, or a 15% tip? You can choose. 10, 15,
God,
20%,
I don't.
or custom.
I don't know that any of our two listeners. How many are we up to? I know we were at 3 there for a minute, and we were really like trending, but
I know the Starbucks I go to, the girl got a notification that we uploaded a new episode. So we got
no.
one.
Hi, girl from Starbucks. We appreciate you listening to our ramblings. But anyhow, for everybody listening, so the Supreme Court decided last week, they decided a few unique things. One of which was that there was some clause in some law.
Hmm.
Ironically, the section of the article that they were talking about was section 666, but it prohibited how do I want to put it? It prohibited any gifts to local or state officials with penalties up to 10 years, and I don't remember what the fines were.
Yeah.
Um, which that seems like a good law, but the Supreme Court decided after hearing a case, and I'll get into that case in a minute, but they decided that that should, like, it. This doesn't apply to senators or representatives of the House or anything like that. Only applies to um, state and local government officials, right? Um, but basically, it made it so that way they couldn't, the idea was that they wouldn't receive gifts in excess. Well, actually, it didn't. I don't think it even allotted for it, but they didn't. God, I'm just stumbling right now, man. Like, and you're just over there, like, yeah, keep it going. I'm gonna stay over here sober and quiet.
Do you want to
Um,
start over?
I feel like that might be best,
All right. I'll just
but maybe leave this in. I don't care.
All right. Well, I'll leave it
So,
in. You can start over.
all right. So, everybody, thank you for listening to that blunder of a mess. But
Doing
anyhow,
it
so
live.
these yeah, just go write it and do it live. I asked a millennial, or sorry, I asked a Gen Zer the other day if they knew who Bill O'Reilly was, and they said
No.
no. And I was like, "You probably don't know who Rush Limbaugh is either, do you?" And he's like, "No." And I'm like, "Yeah, I grew up at a weird time, so now like I'm twice your age
When I
because he's 18." And, yeah,
yeah, yeah, I get it.
you know,
When I go
yeah,
to my Starbucks, they always, since I never go inside and we just make small talk because
hmm
I'm at the drive-through window basically. They they assume they always like try and guess. They were guessing how old I was or what I do for a living because I go to Starbucks every day. So I'm spending like, for two people, I'm spending like $350 a month. So they're like,
uh-huh.
"What's he do for a living? How old is this guy? What is this guy's deal?" So I went inside once, and the one girl dabs,
Uh-huh.
and I'm like, "Do the cool kids still dab these days?" And they're like, she's like, "No, I just dab because it's fun." And I'm like, "Oh, that's cool." 'Cause I thought dabbing died like 12 years ago. And so we had a conversation about when dabbing died, and it was like 8-ish years ago. And I'm like, 8 years ago, I was 30. And they're like, I was like in elementary school 8 years ago. And I'm like, oh, geez.
It's so weird, right? You know,
Yeah,
yeah. Time flies.
it does. And I don't think
Yeah,
I seem like I'm almost 40, but I'm also pretty immature. But I think that's just
that's
like
fair.
how people my age are, though. Like,
Oh
I don't
yeah,
really,
for sure.
when, I, when I'm looking at people that are like 10 years older than me, like, that's not that much.
Yeah.
Like, Amanda's parents are 50, like early 50s,
Mm-hmm.
and that's not much older. That's like 12 years older than me, which isn't that much. Her
Yeah.
aunt's, I think, not even 50 yet, so she's only like 10 years older than me. But like the the difference of 10 years is a lot. But
Mm-hmm.
when I'm looking at someone that's 10 years younger than I am,
Mm-hmm.
Amanda's 7 years younger than me, so that's not that much of a difference. There's no difference there. There's not really much difference with someone in their late 20s. either, the
Hmm.
difference between going up is significant. And
Yeah,
I don't know what caused that.
I really don't know. Honestly, probably just the advent of the internet.
Yeah,
I know
maybe.
it sounds weird, but the exposure to all sorts of different people, but all those people were either our age or younger, and those are the
Yeah,
people who you know play games with online or do whatever. You know what I'm saying?
sure.
That's
It's I think
probably
it
what caused
definitely,
it.
yeah, I think internet does play a huge role into it. Um, just being subjected to information and doing what
Hmm.
you can with that information. Like I know people that are in like high school are kind of jaded and think
Hmm.
awful things about the future. And I think
Yeah.
we were just our age group is like in the middle of that. Where like we saw it
Hmm.
and we were hoping good things, and the people that are
Oh yeah.
10 years ahead of us didn't see it, so they are still kind of safe
Hmm.
from being jaded. But they're almost
I mean,
retiring now at that point. I mean, they got about 10 years left, and we got about 25. And
oh, they're gonna raise the social security age, so we got more than that. We got
yeah,
far more than that. We got like 35 to
uh,
40, probably.
I I mean, I know they're talking about it, but I can't see it. It's
Oh
never
no,
been
they're
good for
base.
us.
Yeah, it's probably not. But meanwhile, we have, well, not anymore, but we have 78 to 82-year-old men, 86-year-old men, whatever,
Yeah.
um, playing around on Twitter or Truth Social. But, um,
I like that they want to raise the retirement age, but they're obviously seeing the ramifications of people in their old age doing a job.
yeah, isn't it ironic?
It's so funny because they're like, yeah, let's raise the retirement
This
age.
guy obviously can't be president of the United States anymore, but you're probably still fine to be a carpenter or
You could be a forklift driver. That's an easy job. You just sit all day and drive your little
well,
forklift, and you don't carry anything
it's
big.
it kind of seems like everybody's solution, right, is like
Yeah,
once you hit like 65 at this point, maybe you find a job that's more on your skill level. So maybe like a Walmart greeter would be good
yeah,
for you, or an
the press.
AutoZone employee, or working at the Home Depot, which by the way, that was the reason that the Home Depot got so big originally, right? Was because they would hire people who were like towards the end of their career, right?
Yeah,
And when I say that, I mean like 55, 60 years old. Maybe they got hurt on the job site, maybe X or Y happened, but they had skill within the
right.
construction industry. And they
Yeah,
actually paid them a decent wage for, just offering advice in a hardware store, right?
right.
That was the big reason that Home Depot got big originally. Then some CEO took over and they were like, fuck you. Some high school kid can take your job.
Yep.
Hmm.
Yep. That's
So now, anytime you go in the Home Depot, you get the guy who doesn't have a clue what he's doing.
I
And
think we
God
got
forbid
nailed
anybody who's in the
Final
electrical aisle.
14.
Yeah. God. But yeah. So anyhow, so back to this. Uh, God, now I'm stumbling over my words again. Supreme Court thing where these guys are old
Oh yeah.
enough to be working in the Home Depot offering legal advice to contractors.
Mhm.
Um, they have decided that state and local officials don't need to have this law fall um, onto them, I should say, where um, essentially they weren't allowed to have gifts or um, bribes given to them, um, and, and there's still not some degree. You can't inadvertently and blatantly be a bribe,
Yeah.
but they're basically um, allowing them to receive what they're referring to as gratuities after all actions have been taken.
Oh my god. The fact
So
that we
now,
can
state.
the, the fact
Oh,
that
go
we can
ahead.
tip people just like we could tip like a bartender or like a waitress at the
Yeah.
end of a meal or something.
Oh,
Ridiculous
dear
to me.
God. Yeah. I know. And the example that I was given is if your neighbor does a really good job at planning a public park and you want to offer him $100 after the fact, then that's completely fine.
Yeah.
And then the other example I got is if you want to buy your local mayor a Chipotle bowl for lunch as a thank you for all of his hard work,
Uh-huh.
but the lawsuit itself that brought all this about, right,
Yeah.
involved a mayor who him and somebody else on a very local level, right? They made a deal with a certain company to repair the city's trash trucks,
Yeah.
right? And then they just waltzed over and demanded $13,000 for their consultation fee,
Oh.
and that. But this is after the deal had already went through, and they've already received like $1 million in business,
Hmm.
and that's apparently fine as long as it happens after the deal's already been made.
Makes sense. Yeah. I thought it would have
Hmm.
to do something with Thomas Clarence, like getting all those stuff.
Oh, I have no idea about any of that. I know that like Supreme Court justices are pretty much immune from anything. So, but either way, so I'm not going to be tipping my local mayor for anything because tipping culture is just way out of control as it is. And I feel like that's the line that you draw at a certain point where public servants, whether it be a DMV agent or whether it be, like trash collector, that's about like the max level I'd tip. And I know that trash collectors get paid a lot, but I know their job also kind of sucks.
Mail
So
workers get tips too, like UPS workers, FedEx. Like they
if I
get
was getting a lot of packages from a UPS guy who was just super
yeah,
fucking friendly, I'd
or your
probably tip
mailman, yeah.
him, or
Right.
USPS. Yeah.
The tipping culture is crazy, and I was just thinking, so did they pass this because they wanted to like be part of this tipping culture? Like, hey, we do services, we need tips too. Yeah,
I doubt it. I
I
really
do
do.
too. I
Right.
really think it's something
Um,
that's a bigger
it,
issue that
from what I gathered, it was more that the Supreme Court just said there are already state and local regulations that handle this, so we're not trying to regulate it on a federal level, which that makes sense because there's a different thing that exists for senators and, like I said, the representatives of the House, right? Different law exists entirely for that sort of thing. Um, so yeah, I understand their point with that one. Not said like they've done a couple other interesting things too. Uh, we we I know we had talked about, but not on this podcast, how they decided that it's up to cities to decide what to do with their. It's up to cities to decide what to do with their homeless people, which
oh
that's
yeah,
fine. But they said, yeah, you want to put a ban on sleeping in public places, that's fine. Um, but and they're the judicial system. They're not meant to have any sort of they're not meant to put into place any sort of laws that regulate that sort of behavior,
sure,
right? Um, they're just meant to say, is this law constitutional or not?
right.
But in having this three-step process where you have the executive, the judicial, and the legislative branches, it leaves some gaps because, like, now a city could potentially fine a homeless person or imprison a homeless person for falling asleep in a public park or
Sure.
whatever. And there are federal governments offered like little to no guidance on this. Like the
Mhm.
best thing that most cities have is there's basically something in every city called tent city,
Yeah.
where all the homeless people just get to chill out on some weird plot of land.
Yeah,
it's
it's
it's a little
nice.
bit bizarre.
That's
It's
my
bizarre.
retirement plan. Actually, my retirement plan was an RV,
Van life. Yeah.
or um, um, you can get really good deals on cruises, so you can kind of live off a cruise
Yeah.
that's cheaper than living.
Just so long as you keep booking it on Expedia, right?
It's something weird. Like I read an article of someone that booked like 56 cruises, and it was just cheaper than like the cost of
Having
living
an
any other
apartment.
way. Yeah,
Yeah.
but yeah, but you can also get really crazy, insane RVs for cheaper, like cheaper than way
Depending.
cheaper than houses.
Yeah.
It's like where America's going to, where
Yeah.
we have some good plans, good ideas, and we're making America great again.
Yeah.
Capital A, lowercase letters. It's sarcasm.
Yeah. But you're not the only person I've heard recently talk about RV life, by the way.
Like
So
it
um
when you're trying to buy
I
a
worked with
house and you
what?
can't.
Yeah, yeah, because everything's unaffordable because on a corporate level everybody already owns all the land and all the
It's
buildings.
it's so dumb.
It's a
The
little bit
housing market's
disgusting, yeah.
crazy, and
No.
I. But like you're also like in my line of work, I'm getting calls that are like, yeah, I have like 20 rental places and I'm renting these houses out. And I'm like, well, this is the problem. They have like,
Yeah.
there's an Airbnb, like a third of the houses are owned by Airbnb or something like that. Um,
Yeah.
like houses are just off the market because people that have
Mhm.
money already can already afford them and buying them up and renting them out for
Mhm.
short term. Like it's just more
Right.
profitable than long term, and that's where we're at now. And no one's building enough houses because of the issue that we happened in like 2008, where
Mhm.
and it just we're just stuck in this set in this thing now. So now, like the biggest thing about um, people dying is inheriting a house now because that's the only way that people can get houses. The
Yeah, I
idea of
know.
a
And isn't
starter
that a
house,
shitty lottery?
yeah, the idea of a
Yeah.
starter house just doesn't exist anymore because they're like, well, you don't have to
Mhm.
buy a house that's $200,000. Well, there's no houses that are
Right.
less than 200,000.
Yeah.
Yes, you can get a starter
So
house that's one bedroom, half a bath that's in the woods.
don't you talk about my trailer that way. I got
I was looking at
Starlink.
I was looking at Home Depot and they have like these tiny houses that you can just build now. They're like
Yeah.
30,000 and they're nice. They're,
Yeah. You just need a plot of land. But the issue with that, though, by the way, is
yeah,
that unless a house has a basement, well, there are certain regulations that you have to meet to get a loan for a house. So are you just
right.
buying it outright? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So,
But
and
I
then,
th- I think you can buy a plot of land. If like it this is assuming you have cash or something. But I think
right.
you can get a Home Depot credit card and get the house, no big deal.
Hmm.
um
Yeah.
you can get a loan for a plot of land for 30 grand and just you can just build on it, I bet. And then you can just build this shed, quote unquote,
Hmm.
from Home Depot and live in it.
Well, the
I bet
worst part
you
about
could
all
do
that is that, like, the worst part about all that is, like, for $30,000, right, in
that.
wood and concrete, I could build a pretty nice house.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it's a lot of time. I could
Sure.
build a pretty nice house. But those are just like it's the convenience factor of, oh, okay, here's your house, it folds open, you're done.
Yeah.
Or oh, it's stacked like Legos, you're done.
I like that the solution that we're going to come up with the housing crisis is a corporation's going to fix it and profit over it instead of the federal government
Uh
going,
huh.
this is what we're going to do to
Right.
fix it. And that's the issue that we've
Well,
had for every issue we have is the federal government can't make a decision on it. And
well,
corporate,
you'll be happy to know, Aaron, that the Supreme Court did a third thing that is going to make that worse.
oh, perfect.
Yeah. So, there's a notable case. I don't remember what it's called. Everybody just refers to it as Chevron, right? Which had to do with basically the law is written one way, but the law requires that these regulatory agencies,
Hmm.
um, that they fill in what the law leaves blank, right? So the law will leave it ambiguous, and they'll
Oh
define
God,
certain things. We'll just say that they'll say a comfortable standard of living, right? And then they'll say
uh,
the comfortable standard of living is defined by this regulatory agency, which will just Department of Urban Housing or whatever
it
it
sounds awful.
is, right? Well, that's how it used to work, but then they decided that this past week as well that no, the regulatory agencies, they don't need to be the ones who are making these definitions for us. Instead, we're going to leave that up to judges because judges can now be experts on everything.
Perfect.
And it doesn't just apply to housing. It applies to medical, it applies to food standards, it applies to emission standards.
Yeah,
So basically every aspect of your life. Um, and now somebody who, you know, they're a judge, right? I'm not saying all judges are evil, but they might not be the most knowledgeable in a certain area, right? And they
oh,
can still lean
sure.
towards these regulatory agencies, but they don't have to comply with what they say. Um,
Right.
they just have to comply with how the law is written.
I see nothing wrong with this, especially since like everyone's well informed and educated, especially on an issue that's modern. And it's not like you have a judge that's like 80,
Yeah,
right?
no,
Right?
yeah,
Like,
and he definitely didn't have to work until he was 80 to pay off student loans.
right. I mean, I already
But
fixed the student
that,
loan solution. It's fine. I already came up with an
yeah,
idea. All right, here's my idea. You ready? So Biden passed a thing where medical debt doesn't show up on credit reports to for stuff.
uh huh.
Just do that with student loans.
It used to be that way.
Yeah, no, it's not.
No, Trump
Uh,
made it so that it wasn't that way,
fucking
which I get it. I mean, you still couldn't buy a house, right?
I could.
But
If I didn't have
at
my
least your
student loan,
student loans.
yeah, if I didn't have my student loan on my report, I could have a house because I don't actually pay anything on my student loan because I don't make enough. But I make enough to
Yeah,
buy a house.
isn't that weird? Yeah,
Well, it's weird because like
yeah. Even though you,
let's say I'm renting and I pay $1,600 a month renting, and I go to buy a house
hmm
and my mortgage payment's $1,200. They're gonna say no, you can't afford it. But I can afford to
yeah,
rent every month for 16, but I can't afford to buy a house for 12. Yeah, no, it's because of blah blah blah. It's
yeah.
it's the most
I believe
illogical
the
thing.
word that you're looking for is dumb.
It is dumb. It is so dumb. Like
Yeah,
I mean,
it ain't
sometimes
great.
I wish I was dumber, so I was too dumb to know how dumb things were.
I wish that I was Amy Cohen Barrett. Is that her name? Sasha Cohen Barrett?
Covershire? Amy Covershire?
No,
Missouri?
the lady who was elected to the Supreme Court panel.
Ah, I don't know her name.
I know it's not Sasha Cohen Barrett. I just don't know.
Yeah,
Or Sasha Cohen. I just always confuse the names for some reason. I think it's. I could Google it,
I wish I was
but
Marjorie Taylor Greene so I could be on the Senate but be an idiot. No, House.
it's
House.
Amy Coney Barrett as opposed to Sasha Baron Cohen. So you can kind of understand why I get them confused.
Yeah.
It's almost like reversing the last names. But I like Sasha Conan or Sasha Baron Conan. I don't like Amy Cohen Barrett.
Yeah, I wish I could be like Marjorie Taylor Greene, be on the House of Representatives, but be an idiot.
Oh no, that's more like Lauren Boebert. Is that her name? Bobbert? I don't know. They're both kind of idiots.
It's fine.
That's certainly not a slap at
Yeah.
well, it's not
We
a
definitely
slap
need term
at like
limits.
term limits, I think, would be the first big step to solving most of these problems.
Yeah, it's not going to solve the
But
tipping issue because you're just going to have to tip more, basically.
tip your local representative.
Yeah,
Consider it like a tithe,
just Bernie
20% of
Sanders.
your income, no matter what.
I'm going to try and tip Bernie Sanders. The website to tip.
Man, I'm gonna see if I can tip Donald Trump.
Yeah. All right. There's nothing on Bernie's homepage website that I can just send with tips, so we're good.
Trump wants to end tip taxes, though.
Oh, I mean that makes sense. I mean you're gonna definitely get tax on tips.
Hmm.
Um, does he mean like
I don't know.
because that could be good because getting like when a waitress has to report their tips, it's taxed. So like, but I feel like there's an underlying reason why he wants to remove it.
Donald Trump wants to eliminate taxes on tips, hoping to shore up support among service workers. Some aren't impressed because the call to end taxes on tips is just a misguided way of trying to fix a problem of uplifting the lower class. I should probably get off of here.
All right. Well, tune in next time when we record another episode of.
International Businessman 101.
All right.
Well, thanks for joining us.
Oh, you're welcome.
Appreciate you, homeboy.